Good afternoon, everybody. Just past midday, so welcome. We are going to be talking about turning your passion for photography into a business to earn some money from it, whether it's full-time, part-time, or perhaps you're already doing that and you want a few tips and tricks. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Hang around, I'll play a little video and we'll get on with it. Good afternoon, everybody. Right, welcome. So we are going to be talking about, for 10-20 minutes, how long it takes, and answer any questions you might have as well. So if you want to ask me a question, pop it in the comments. I'll try and answer it for you. But turning your passion for photography into a business, or you've already got a business and you want to sort of see what I've been doing, or any of the above, really. So that's what we're going to talk about. I've got a brief presentation, which I shall walk you through in a minute once we get started. But yeah, in the meantime, so, why am I doing this? Well, we've got, as you can see in the top right-hand side up here even, Beyond the Lens Academy. So let me put that in the, let's get that right. Put that website link in, because I always get told off for forgetting to do that. Beyond the Lens Academy.com. So that's an online training platform. Got it right. Yep. That we've been running for over a year now, very successful. Lots of members in there from people who just, want to learn a bit more about their photography and just get involved and have, sort of peers around and sort of find out what they do and get inspired, I suppose, as well as people who have been through the process of what we're going to talk about today, which is, do you know what? I'd like to earn some money from photography. How do I do that? And I've helped a number of them, quite a few to say the least, who've gone from the principle of it to a successful business over the last year or two and are earning very, very good incomes as a result. So what I wanted to do today is really just touch on just sort of the outline of the things to think about. It's not as complicated as it might seem. There are some things to consider, and just to sort of give you some comfort about how you may want to consider doing it. Now, as far as the Academy is concerned, we are closed at the moment. We're a closed membership. We're opening the doors again for new members next Friday, which I think is the 16th. I'm sure it's the 16th. I'm not going to look at my phone because I'm pretty sure it is. For new members, for the sort of the ordinary members, as it were. Morning, Keith, one of our members. But also, we are going to be opening the doors for, we're morphing the Aspiring Pro membership, which is what it says on the website at the moment, which is all going to be changing in the next few days, to a thing called the Full Frame Club. So that's going to take a very different look, a very different feel. It's going to have lots of different features in it, lots of mentoring, lots of support. So if you are somebody who wants to join that from a point of view of taking your principle of, I'd like to earn some money from photography, to actual reality, that's what you want to think about. So the registration for that opens tomorrow. And what I mean by registration is there's like a little form you fill out and you drop me a note. And because what I want to do is make sure that the people who are sort of interested in that, whether it's just part-time, make a little bit of money on the side, or full-time sort of proper business, that it's going to be a right fit. It's not a right fit for everybody. And we want to work with people who are interested in that. So best I stop wittering on about what we're going to be doing, and let's talk about some stuff. So let me see if we've got a new feature on here now where I can share slides. Let me just get the screen set up right. So I think I want this one. And now if I go share slides, let's see if this works. Not done this before. Add that to the stream and go back to the beginning. Might help, mightn't it? Right. Okay. So there's lots of different formats of this. What I might do actually is make it a bit more like that. Yeah. So less of me, more of what you need to be looking at. Morning, Alan. None of our members. So turning your passion for photography into a business. Some of the things to consider. The first thing I might say is it is not as hard as it might seem. It's not a oh, will do, Linda. Yeah, no problem. Packing suitcases. We like that. Sounds exciting. I started, so my journey, which I think is probably the next slide. There we go. Here's me. Oh, it's not me, it's pictures of dogs. Carl Thomas Photography. So I'm pretty well known in the dog photography world. I've got 25,000 people on Facebook and several thousand people on Instagram and so on. Even got a TikTok account now, which I set up the other day, which is interesting. There was a little line on here. Not that matters. And it started off as a bit of an accident, really. I did a 2-day workshop back in 2015, just as a bit of an idea with a chap called Andy Bigger, who you may know, another well-known dog photographer. And I came back thinking, do you know what? I quite like the look of this. This is quite good fun. I was working as a management consultant, interim management roles at the time, earning very good living, very blue chip. Spending a lot of time in meetings in London and catching the train and all that kind of stuff. It was good. I enjoyed it, but it was not quite the same as what I'm doing now. So I came away all inspired. So I thought, do you know what I'll do? I'll get up the first few things you need to do, which is a sort of a bit of a website page and a Facebook page. And my initial sort of thought process was, let's have it as a bit of a hobby on the side, a little bit of an earner on the side. So not going to put too much pressure on myself. I'm going to see if people want to buy my work and if it actually works, this thing. And as is pretty obvious by looking at where I am now, it kind of did. Very quickly, within a month or two, I started getting people booking me for photo sessions, and then they were buying images and frames and spending a lot of money. And it just started to become busier and busier and busier, to the point where it went from being sort of a part-time job, in a sense, almost like a hobby, a weekend sort of job on the side. Charlotte, my other half, runs a town planning consultancy, and I've done a master's degree in town planning, so I could support that business. So we were very involved in that. And I'd be doing, planning consultancy for listed buildings, or people trying to get housing developments through, or people not trying to get housing developments through and stopping them. And photo sessions would be sort of fitted in between. It didn't take long. Inside a year, it was the other way around. Occasionally, I do some planning work, but most of the time I'm doing this. And now all of the time I'm doing this and all the academy. So this is what I'm known for, dog photography. Doesn't mean, and the academy is not just about dog photography. It won't surprise you to find that quite a lot of people in there are related to dog photography, but we've got equine photographers in there. I think there's even some wedding photographers amongst our group. So that's kind of my story. And as I say, it's quite an amazing story, really, because, I was earning a very good income, and I'm earning an even better income now. Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, these are a mixture here, but nearly all Spaniels and a little gun dog. It's a bit of, I specialize in dog photography. That means any dog, but it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in that what tends to happen is, if I do a few Spaniels, which I've done recently, I'll pop them on Facebook saying, oh, look, nice shots of these doggies. And then people who've got Spaniels go, oh, let's get him booked. So it's not that I only do gun dogs. I mean, I do like working with gun dogs, obviously. Spaniels and labs and Vizslas and stuff, but I've done shots of pretty much every dog you can possibly think of. Oh, look at this. There's a long one here from Tim. Thanks for doing this. I've been a follower of my work for some years and a really interested in pursuing dogtography. I love it. If ever fortunate to get well enough to work again, I suffer. Okay, yeah. Time is not right now, but continue to work on my skills. How actually? Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Just see what the rest of that says. Yeah. Brilliant. Well, that's, I'm sorry to hear that you're not 100% well. The useful thing about working for yourself in any business, but particularly photography, is that you're in charge. So you can do one session a week. You can do one every day. I mean, I've had weeks where I've done one every day and two in a day. That's hard work. But, typically I do a couple, 3 a week. So it's not overly intense. So you can manage it, which is useful. So that's a little bit about me. Next slide. So the challenges, what is it that we need to consider? What are the things that are going to be, for some of you out there who are maybe watching this live now or even on the replay, it's like, I didn't do it because I don't think I can do photography as a living because. And these are the things that you need to think about. They're the 4 main things that come up all the time. Confidence, equipment, people will not pay for my work, cheap competition locally. None of these are issues. Confidence is something that I would say I've yet to meet a photographer, particularly when they first start out, who hasn't had some issues with confidence over the years. I'm quite a confident person. I've run big companies and been CEO on the board of public companies and all that kind of stuff, done presentations to hundreds of people. So I'm quite a confident person. But that's a different thing to confidence when it comes to photography, because, of course, you are going to be sharing with clients or people potentially who are going to hopefully buy your work, and it's what you've created yourself. It's your stuff, and that is a slightly different level of confidence as well. So you need to work on it, because what you are going to be looking at when it comes to photography, take my work, for example, dogs. I am obsessed with making sure they're in focus, sharp, all the right kind of things about the photos, which people love. Those people who watch it on Facebook, that is, see all the images. But the clients, they look to see nice images, but they're really interested in the images of their dogs, because it's a connection they've got with their animal. So they're not necessarily going to be worried if something's not completely perfect or it's not the best image in the world. Because trust me, some of the images I've taken when I've done a photo session, and I'll typically put 30 or 40 images in a gallery for a client, there'll be a few in there that are like amazing as far as I'm concerned. Technically, dog's perfect, jumping up, let's have a little look. I wonder what happens if I show pictures as well. I don't know if it's going to work. Look, bear with me. I'm going to find a picture of doggies. Right. So, I don't know, little ones like this, that sort of stuff. And you saw some pictures before, these sort of stuff. Those sort of shots, you sort of think, wow. But it'll be, and they're like those, there's no question about that. But it'll be the funny sort of shot that you've got when you're just grabbing the camera and taking a cheeky shot of the dog with a funny look in his face or doing something silly. They love those because, of course, they see the work in relation to their animal and the relationship they've got with it, or their horse, or their son, or their daughter, or whatever it might be. So don't get hung up on the confidence thing. One of the biggest things that we do in the Academy, I think one of the biggest benefits that if you read the reviews on the website, Beyond the Lens Academy website page, it is about having confidence, because we've got a private Facebook group with hundreds of members in there that share images. We do image critique very regularly. I do webinars pretty much, well, not every day, but a couple, 3 times a week. I did one this morning on how you create a starburst in camera and stuff like that. So there's lots of stuff going on, lots of feedback loops. And when you start getting feedback loops and people helping you and supporting you, and webinars to watch and interactive live stuff, your confidence will grow, because you get people. There was a lady on one of the webinars I did the other day. This is within the Academy, who's been with us for a year. She's got her own business now, doing really well. Wasn't overly confident to start with, and went through a few little loops. But her style, and I'll talk about this later on in this webinar today, has developed really lovely. It's got a really nice sort of feel about her images. And I said that. I said, oh yeah, your image is looking really lovely now. She was really taken back. And it's like, photography can be quite a lonely thing. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about taking your photography to a level where you can charge customers or earn some money from it, it's likely that you've not been doing that before, hence watching this. But a lot of your photography will be what you do for yourself that you may share with your friends and mates or whatever. But generally speaking, you're not going to there isn't a huge feedback loop. So confidence, don't worry about it. Easily managed. Equipment. You do not need to have the best camera in the world. Trust me. In fact, if I go back one, there it is. This picture in the top left here, Badger, my Springer with a black background, put that up on Facebook, went nuts. Thousands of people liked it, and they were commenting and saying all sorts of things. And somebody has said to me, "Whoa, what kind of camera is that?" It was an iPhone. Now, I'm not suggesting that if you're going to go professional, you use your iPhone. You can get some good photos with it, but you do not need to spend a fortune. There is all sorts of equipment out there, and it's one of the things that we cover in the Academy. I use a 1DX Mark II, which is a professional camera, but it's been around a while now. I haven't moved to mirrorless yet, but you don't need to spend a fortune on equipment. What I would recommend you have in terms of dog photography is a reasonable SLR or mirrorless camera. 500-600 quid will probably get you something decent, and a decent lens. 70 to 200 is a lens that I love, but you can have wider angle lenses as well, maybe a 24 to 70. But I use one lens all the time, which is my trusty 70 to 200 2.8. So you don't need lots of equipment. Now, point number 3 on here: people will not pay for my work, and that's connected with the first one, which is confidence and also mindset. And it is very common. Pretty much everybody I've worked with starts off with that. Like, oh, they won't pay for my work, or they won't pay, the rates that are that make it a viable business. And the answer is not everybody will, but they're not your clients. There's 60 million people in the UK now, I believe, half of which got dogs, and a significant proportion of those will spend money on images for their dogs. Treat them like children. So not everybody will pay for your work, and not everybody will pay the money that you want. But it is about, and it's part of the thing that we go through in some detail in the Academy, it's all about a process that gets you to get the right kind of clients for your work. There's a thing about photography, though, which I'll touch on, that is quite common. And it's to do with sort of friends and mates when it comes to photography. So I mentioned this on our internal webinar the other day. So if I've got a lot of my friends I see in the local pub occasionally who are plumbers, tilers, chippies, carpenters, whatever it might be. And if I ask one of them to come and to tile the floor in the kitchen, say, which frankly we need to do because one of the dogs has ripped the lino up, but anyway, another story. And it's going to cost, say, a couple of £1,000. I'd expect to pay a couple of £1,000. I might get £100 off because it's mates rates, but I wouldn't have a problem paying. And my mate who does that wouldn't have a problem or feel bad about asking me to pay. That's normal. But when it comes to photography, there's this thing, this perception that people have who are not photographers, that it should just be free. Because they think you go out with your camera, you press a button, and out comes these beautifully coiffured, edited photos. And so that is quite common. And so what will happen when you ask your friends, if you're thinking about setting up business, and a lot of people come to me at this point and said, oh, I've asked my friends and they wouldn't pay it. You say, oh, look, I'm thinking about doing photography and I want to charge, £149 for the photo session, and then, several £100s for some of the images and quite a few £100s for frames. And they go, no, I've asked my friends who said they wouldn't pay it. That's because they wouldn't. They don't get it. And so don't worry about that, because that's quite a common loop. Let's see what the little comment here, I think. Oh, don't know what that means. Catherine's Connors put something there, but anyway. So yeah, don't worry about that. It is a very common perception. And if you ask enough people, there's quite a few people that say it. Now, I charge £149 for my photo session. If you go to my Facebook page, there's a section at the top. It's a pinned post that talks all about what a photo session includes. And a big part of the reason that that's quite a long thing in there is to make sure people understand the value they're going to get, the photo session, the amount of work that goes into it. I've charged that for the last 6 years. From when I first started to now, I haven't changed my pricing. So you don't need to go down this route of, oh, well, I'll do it for free to start with and maybe charge a little bit until I get better. Because yes, your images will get better over time and you'll develop a style, which we'll come on to, but it doesn't mean to say that you should charge less. So something we talk about in the academy in some detail. Now, next thing here, last one on this slide, cheap competition locally. There is, in any business, there's always somebody prepared to do it for next to nothing. And that's a short-term fix to a long-term death, that kind of business model. And there are, in dog photography, stroke wedding photography, any kind of photography, there's people out there that will do a photo session for 20 quid and give you all the images. They're not going to make a living from that. The quality of the images will be probably questionable. And that kind of customer is probably not the customer you want, because they don't value the work that you're going to be doing. So don't worry about it. My sort of analogy for this is, if there's a Michelin star chef restaurant in the high street, and there are a few about these days, and he's doing very well, and a burger van, a kebab van parks up in the car park opposite and gets a pitch there for the next 6 months, do you think he's going to be worried? No. If directly next door to him, another Michelin star restaurant pops up, he may be slightly more concerned, but it's a different offering. His food will be different to the next door's food. My images are a style. It's not just photos of dogs. It's just photos of dogs in a style that I do. And that's what people pay for. So in all these things here on this page here, the challenges, they're very, very easily overcome. Nothing really to worry about. Right, next slide. Make a start. That's what I always say to people. It's a bit of a blokey thing, I know. Probably shouldn't say that. It's probably not very PC of me. But us blokes are rubbish at procrastinating. And we give ourselves permission to delay by saying things like, and I've spoken to quite a few people who've set up businesses like this, and they'll say, how's it going? Oh, yeah, I've got the name now, and I've got the logo. I'm just working on the website, and I'm sort of doing the Facebook page and everything else. Oh, right, okay, brilliant. And I might see him a couple of weeks later, and they're going to be, I said, hello, mate, how's it going? What's happening with that? Oh, yeah, no, we're just refining the logo a bit, and the website we're changing, making a few things on that, and that's like 2 weeks later. Website, Facebook page, and logo is a day, maybe 2 days in terms of getting it up, making a start, which is the top thing on this slide, getting on with it. Use your network. There will be people that I know you've got to be conscious that some of your friends may be not your ideal clients, but in the early days, that's not a bad thing to maybe do some free work to get some portfolio and some photos of dogs up so you've got something to put on your website. But use your network. Get hold of people. Find out where your local vets are, your local pet shops, local craft centres, local markets, local sort of craft fairs, stuff like that. Understand where all those things are and start getting your word out. Get some business cards printed. I know it's a bit old-fashioned, but make sure you've got your social media set up. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok now. I can't believe I've got a TikTok account. It's hilarious. It's only been going a couple of days, so it's quite funny. And just start getting out there, networking, because business is not about sitting behind your desk in any form, and photography is no different. Mastering your craft. So that's a big part of what we do in the academy. It's helping you understand how to use your camera, how to get the best out of your camera, how to maximize your settings to make sure you get a higher percentage of shots the way you want them from action shots and so on. That's all about practice, but you've just got to do it. Practice, practice, practice. And then the last one here is over time. Yes, that's very true, actually. Keith's right here. So if you've got friends and you're saying, look, okay, you've got a lovely dog there. I'm trying to get me sort of self set up at the moment. So I did it to start with, but get something off of them. Get like a crate of beer, as Tom says, or a glass of wine, or a bottle of wine. Get used to the fact that for what you've done for them, they've paid you, even if it is a case of wine or beer down the pub. So personal style is something that takes a while, but you've just got to work at it. And it just evolves typically. So the more photography you take, the more you'll start finding, like Kaylee Greer, one of the world's most famous dog photographers, a very good friend of mine. I've done some work with Kaylee. Her style is very unique. It's very close up, very bright colors, very saturated, use wide angle lens. Amazing. She's got a 2-year waiting list, is making millions of dollars a year now. Amazing. But her style developed because she started taking photos of dogs and started finding that she quite liked the wide angle lens, and those sort of images sort of sat quite well with her. My style is very much more of sort of action shots, outdoors, dogs in their natural environment, being dogs. And that's what I love doing, and it's what my clients like. Other people have got more traditional styles where they've got these sort of shots in woods with sort of smoky backgrounds. It's whatever your style is will sort of come through. What I recommend you don't do, though, is go and look at a bunch of dog photographers, wedding photographers, equine photographers, and go, I quite like what they're doing, I'm going to copy it. It is not rewarding, and it's just not the done thing. So it's practice, practice, practice. So in terms of the sort of things, so now let's assume you're with us so far and you're like, you know what, I quite fancy this. I'm going to have a go. So first thing I'd say is tomorrow, have a look on our website and you'll see the registration page on there, a little form to fill out, which gives me information about your camera or what camera you might buy, what camera you've got, your background history and stuff. Not onerous, no, not too much. So we can have a little bit of a conversation and I can tell you a little bit more about the Full Frame Club. So that's step one. And well, I say that you're already here watching this, or you might be watching the replay, which is another good step. But here's a few things you need to think about. So portfolio, we've just touched on. Start getting some images together. It might be that you've been doing whatever kind of photography you've been doing for a while. So as a result, you've got a portfolio. I had quite a lot of doggy shots anyway, because I like photographing dogs before I actually went, proper, as it were. Facebook page, well, read that social media now. I mean, Facebook's important still. It's not gone yet, but it's not as powerful as it used to be, I don't think. But it's, it's still there. Social media, so TikTok, Instagram, all the others are certainly worth having and easy to set up. Get yourself a little logo. You can get that done with a company called Fiverr in 24 hours. It used to be a Fiverr, but it's now maybe 10 quid. Website, I use a company called SmugMug. I set my website up. It probably needs a bit of an update actually, but I set it up in the morning. It's not hard to do. And then you start thinking about pricing and product offering. So product offering is going to be, so what are you going to offer? Are you going to be offering just digital images? Are you going to be offering frames? Are you going to be offering albums, or a combination of all of the above? So start having a think about that, because that's important. And then start thinking about your pricing. What are you going to charge for your photo session? The first part, because typically there's two bits to it. One is the going out, taking the photos, and I charge for that, which is a photo session. I charge £149 for that. Then the next bit is, and that includes the editing of all the images, all that work and everything else, put them in a gallery with watermarks on. And the next bit then is what they want to buy. So there's two bits to it, but you've got to start thinking about that. And don't be put off by the thought process that is, well, I'll start cheap and get expensive later. I've been £149 for my photo sessions for 6 years. I haven't changed it. Well, I changed it once. I thought, I can't remember what it was now, a few months in, I thought, you know what I'll do? I was getting quite a lot of bookings. So I thought I'll make them free, because people were spending, they're paying £149 for a photo session. I had people spending thousands on images, which is great. So I thought I'll make the photo session free so I get some more bookings. Didn't work. People didn't like it, a bit suspicious. So I soon changed back. So in summary, on that page there, Get yourself a portfolio going if you haven't already got one. Get a bit of a social media and website thing going. Easy to do. Again, that'll all be step-by-step help through the academy. And product offering and pricing. It's something we spend a lot of time on in the academy. So I share with people in the academy my price structure, how I agree it, what I've done with it. And you know, when it comes to pricing, it's not just about a frame cost X, digitals cost Y. It's what I think called a pricing ladder. So people get better value if they buy 2 frames versus 1 and so on. So things to consider there. Now, I love this because if you could see my desk at the moment, you'd be laughing. But I am quite an organized individual. Probably not as organized as some. Some of my members are really, really, obsessively organized. But you get yourself organized. Have a system. Now, you don't need to use CRM platforms. I do use one, but you don't have to. You can use spreadsheets, Post-it notes, a notebook, whatever you want to do. But have a process. So, and what I mean by a process, and I guess the next point is part of it, lead management. So let's imagine you've got your Facebook page up and you've got your website up and stuff, and you're sort of getting going. And then all of a sudden, ping, oh, I like those photos. How much is a photo session? Or how does it work? In comes that message. And like, right, bloody hell, I need to think about this. So have a process. So what do you do when somebody inquires? What's the process? How many days do you leave to follow them up? Once you've done a photo session, what do you do after that? How do they get to see the images? Are you doing that by your website? Are you doing it in person sales, and so on? So have a process because it makes life a lot easier. And write it down. Just think about it. What are the steps? And then you can, when you are talking to people who are inquiring about your business and the opportunity to work with you, you've got a process in mind so you can talk them through it. Makes it a lot easier. Lead management, which is part of what I'm talking about here, is really important. So if somebody messages you and says, "Hi, love your work. How does it work?" Get back to them straight away. There's no excuse these days. We've all got a flipping smartphone with us, so you can respond quickly. What you will find, if a lot of your work, as mine does, comes through social media, you'll get quite a lot of inquiries in the evenings or first thing in the morning or over lunchtime when people are on their phones. That's the time to respond. I get no end of messages where people say to me, "Oh, thanks for responding so quickly." It's like, well, it doesn't take me long to respond saying thanks. Here's a link to how a session works, which is another thing in part of my process. I've got the description of a photo session, how it works, what's involved. If you look at the Facebook page, Carl Thomas Photography, it's at the top. It's probably 5 paragraphs, all about what's involved, how it works, and everything else. So when somebody inquires, saying, "Carl, I love your work. I'd love to book a photo session with you," I go back, ask a few questions. What kind of dogs you got? Where you're based? And send them a link in the message to how a session works, rather than retyping it all out. So I can respond to somebody who's emailed me if I'm having a drink with my mates in the space of probably 30 seconds. So, and we all know what it's like. It doesn't matter whether it's photography, any business that you email or phone or leave a message and they don't get back to you, it's frustrating. And then in terms of getting organized, you need to work out a system, a way, method, or decide how you are going to get your clients to pay you. It might be sending them an invoice and they pay you into your bank directly. It might be using PayPal, which is what I use. So I've got a little invoicing system. It might be using QuickBooks. It might be using Sage. Whatever you do, have a process so that you can invoice people in a way that's professional and looks good for the client. So when they get it, they're like, "Oh, okay, that's all very professional." So that's all getting organized. And this is the last slide. So, and I'll answer any questions if there are any in a minute. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. How cool is that? So it's not complicated, is it? Cool, I'm looking very blue here. Let me go and switch that light off a minute. That's because it's doing auto white balance. So I shall look more natural now. There we go. That's a bit better. Then you can see we've got our tree up. Not you can see it because I've got a filter on here to make it out of focus. But so that just gives you, and that's just top line. That is not, if you join the academy and the Full Frame Club, which we are going live on Friday next week, and registration starts tomorrow. It's a lot more detailed than that. But this just gives you, what I'm trying to do here today is to hopefully inspire a few people out there thinking, "You know what? We've had a funny few years, haven't we?" Some people who have had to work from home, again, we're having to do it again now, have decided actually they don't miss going into the office. They don't miss getting on the train. They don't miss driving 2 hours every day to go to the office and all that, and then to a job that is maybe not that rewarding. So think about next year, 2022. Life is short. I can honestly tell you, I've worked for some big companies. I had my own company that was public. I've worked, very, very senior positions for people like Revlon and Sony, drive around in Mercedes, Astons, Bentleys, earning mental money. I'm earning a very, very good living from my dog photography business. And I can tell you it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Because, a day in the office for me is meeting a client in a beautiful park somewhere or in a woodland somewhere with a couple of Springer Spaniels or some labs or whatever it is they've got. And we'll spend an hour chatting, having a walk around in the fresh air, taking photographs of dogs. And then when they get to see the images, quite often they're in tears and they love it and all that kind of stuff. And you're getting paid to do that. I mean, really. No different if it's equine, no different if it's other people, especially newborns. That's quite a popular thing. Not something I do, but, it's popular. So, what I'm trying to do here today is just hopefully give a few people a bit of a nudge to say, just where I was 6 years ago, why don't you have a go? Have a think about it. And we have a platform that will help you get through all the steps. So that is hand-holding by me, mentorship. Well, we'll be going live every week in the Full Frame Club as a group. People saying, right, this is what we did last week. We talked about social media. These are some of the tips. We talked about getting logos. This is the pricing, whatever it might be, as well as individual stuff as well. So that takes away a lot of the stress. It makes it a lot easier. You're being handheld by somebody who's been through all the pain. I've made all the mistakes and done stuff so I can make sure you don't do it. So you will potentially, if you get involved with us, have a new income stream, even if it's just part-time. So you never know. I can tell you it is one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And if you're a passionate photographer anyway, and you can earn money from it, I mean, really, a bit of a no-brainer. So what else? Any more questions? Let's have a little look. Doesn't look like it, but it's a good few people here, which is great. Because the academy is closed at the moment, and we're opening the doors next Friday. So the Full Frame Club will go live then as well. Registration starts tomorrow. And registration, as I think I said a moment ago, is really just a little online form you'll fill out, and I'll get to see that, and we can have an email discussion, or even a one-to-one on one of these, and a little chit chat about where you are, where you want to go, what your plans are, and to make sure that's the right fit for you. Because we want people in here that are suited to what we're about as a business and helping them, because it's not going to be for everybody. It's likely to be for most people, but not everybody. And then the academy generally, which is just it's a membership platform where for photographers. So if you're thinking about just actually joining that with a view to maybe joining the club. Now, we typically open the membership a few times a year because we spend all our time working with our members, as you'll see from the reviews. Then that's something to consider. Now, in terms of the things that are in there, let me just tell you, if you are joining, I mean, this is all this plus a lot more will be in the Full Frame Club. But in terms of membership of the academy, if you're just a photographer, so direct message facility, there's a private Facebook group, and there's lots of interactive in there. I'm available all the time. I'm always commenting in there, and people message me and speak to me all the time. There's the private Facebook group. So that's two things are in there. Online learning modules. Now, if you joined on Friday as what we call a full member, and there's going to be some amazing offers, by the way, as well, because I mean it's Christmas. Why not? Then the online learning modules that we've been doing for the last year are in there. There's hundreds, but I do them every week. Typically, I'll do 3 to 1 a week or whatever on a subject, and it will be a bit like this, using this platform within the academy on a specific subject. So it might be, I don't know, depth of field. What is it? How do we manage it? How to make the most of it? And they're typically 10, 20 minutes long, so not too long. And people can come along and comment, as they've done here. That's live, and I published that in the academy saying at 10 o'clock this morning, I did one at 10 o'clock on Starburst. So anybody who's got time can come along and interact. But don't worry if you haven't, because those recordings then get uploaded into the academy. So when you log on to your portal, you'll see the latest webinars in there. So it's really quite a useful thing. We've got a mobile app. Who hasn't? Got to have those things there. New gear review. So I quite often talk about the latest new equipment, the R3, the R5, the R6, the Z7. This is something we do a lot of, what I call a group image critique. So this is just something for just get you a bit inspired. So we have a theme. The current one is weather. The last one was autumn. And I just published a little thing in the academy where you can upload a couple of images with some settings, and a number of people put those images up. I put them together in a presentation, and I'll go through them and give you critical feedback. So not just, well, that's a nice image, or I don't like it, proper critical feedback. So you can tell and understand and learn from your photography. That's very popular, very, very popular. Now, this is something that is part of the will be part of the Camera Club, and it's likely to be weekly actually, where you can have a one-to-one. So you'll be able to come online. So you say you've joined the Full Frame Club, Camera Club, Full Frame Club, and we've been talking about social media, or we've been talking about pricing. So we'll have a conversation, and then next week you say, right, I just want to talk about it. It's like, okay, let's have a one-to-one. So it would be me on this camera and you on the camera, and we'll be chatting. Really, really valuable. So this is not either for the Academy full membership or for the Full Frame Club. This is not something that you just log on to and there's stuff there. There is lots of stuff there and it's brilliant, but I'm around all the time. So it's a live, living thing. Now, what else we got on here? That's it, probably, for the moment. There's lots of other bits and bobs. We do workshops. In fact, they're not really called workshops anymore. They're called photography retreats. So, for example, we've got one at the moment in February, which is full. So we're going to the Highlands to take photographs of snow ptarmigan and this sort of stuff. Look. And we're going to Mull, the Isle of Mull. We were in Islay this year, and we were in the Highlands in Scotland in October. But we're going to the Isle of Mull, and we are staying. That's where we went in October. That's where we go back there in the winter. Beautiful. And the Isle of Mull, we are going to stay here. So we've got that entire lodge plus a little cottage next to it. 2 weeks in July, nearly full actually. So that's all on the website. So if you go to beyondthelensacademy.com, you'll see the information about that. This is what it's like inside. Look, it's all fully catered. You can bring partners because it's a beautiful location. So it's like a bit of a holiday, and it's a very relaxed way to learn and enjoy and explore your photography. The way it works, there's a chap called Alan Ward who comes with me. He's a very accomplished videographer and wildlife photographer, a very good friend of mine. And so we have a great laugh. So we have a nice meal in the evening, a few glasses of wine, have a bit of fun. And then we're out during the day taking photos of wildlife, landscapes, whatever we might be doing, with hands-on tuition from Alan and myself, helping you and supporting you if you need it. And then some feedback in evenings if we need to go through that. And just generally we're there. We're there for the entire, if you're there for a week, the 7 days. And there'll be opportunities to talk about editing. Editing's a big part of what we do in the Academy, because obviously editing's important these days. So yeah, if you fancy coming on one of those, there's not many spaces left on Mull. I think there's 2 left actually. Then please do. But if not, I shall be going live most days. I'm live tomorrow. What am I doing tomorrow? I can't remember. Let me have a look. Tomorrow. Yes, we're going to be talking about the Full Frame Club in a bit of detail, and registration is going to be open. So if you want a bit more information about that, come on tomorrow day. Next week, we'll be doing one most days, and I'll be doing stuff generally talking about photography for those who are generally interested in photography. So I'll be talking about settings, tips, techniques, lenses, equipment, and stuff. But I will intersperse that with some more information about, getting a business out of photography, earning money from it. So watch your space. And I will see you soon. So look, I hope, let me just check the comments. I don't think there's any more questions. Doesn't look like it, no. So look, thanks for coming along. I hope that's been useful. If you're watching the real time, then brilliant. If you're watching the playback, even better. But yeah, hopefully see you soon. And when we open the doors next Friday, hope we see you in the Academy. And once we get registration going tomorrow, hopefully start having some conversations with people who are thinking about taking what we've been talking about today a little further. See you later. Thanks for coming.